The BNFT reports this morning the government initiatives strategy to retain FDIs. Also, $23.7 million lost in fishing license fees yearly, a dominant Chinese interest and the value sector. Look at GMPC, Aker Energy Partnership as strategic defense, according to the IES. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire must develop their own cocoa standards, not the EU. Lebanese arrested for operating an illegal insurance firm. The Ghanaian Times, not two other unions press government to tackle challenges affecting teaching learning by September 30, or they will go on strike. 1D1F program, President inaugurates $16 million tomato processing factory at Domfete. Government poised to review Rent Act. And in the coming days, we'll tell you something about the Rent Control Office. Efforts to stop financial infractions. We will name shame defaulters who fail to adhere to public financial management. That's Dr. Eric Odro Osai there. What's on the front page of the Daily Graphic? Appointment of MMDCs, AMA, KMA races in photo finish. And review base pay calculation. TUC urges tripartite committee. Sputnik V middleman to refund $2.4 million. Justice Mafusau passes away. You remember him. He's been here a couple of times for the judiciary's effort to establish media relations with us and other media houses. May he rest in peace and may his family be comforted. Daily Guide. NDC stops anti-Mahama campaign, and Akufo-Addo opens $16 million tomato factory. Ameri Sheikh to refund $2.8 million for Sputnik vaccine. Graphic says 2.4, Daily Guide says 2.8, which is which. Prepare your successor to break the 8. And the Republic Press gets results. There it is. Mahama mourns with Mobiles family. Banner headline, Ajima Menu on thinking leave as he takes a break to consider the next move. Well, he was with the president yesterday at Domfete. 1D1F, Akufo-Addo commissions $60 million tomato processing factory. And rest in peace to Justice Mafusau, who died at 64. The Finder newspaper, NPP constituency annual delegates conference to be held in groups of 250. Aker AGM deal will saddle GNPC with overpriced assets, according to Dr. Sio Champon. 1D1F, the tomato factory I've been telling you about, and also minister's mask mandate not being enforced. GNPC buying stake in STWT AGM block is a bad deal, according to Kojo Poku. My guest this morning is Kamal Dean Abdullahi. He's Deputy National Communications Director of the NDC MPP. Beg your pardon. I was looking. I can't see your face, so I'm unable to identify you. Please say your name.
Kwame Zu.
Say again.
Kwame Zu.
Kwame Zu, yes, from the Ashanti region. General Secretary for the NDC in the Ashanti region. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. How are you doing, Kwame?
It's a pleasure. I'm well.
I haven't seen you in a long while.
Yes, I think the last time I appeared here, you were not here. I think I met Bella.
Right. Come on, how are you doing?
I'm terrific. And how you doing?
I am alive and well.
You nearly got me a bit worried.
Oh, why?
With your introduction, to have aligned me to the NDC,
I see.
That's quite it's a big scandal.
Okay.
I will see, but
frankly, I'm not suggesting that you're
I would always opt to belong to a party that will see to, the fastest development of our country, that will see to human capital being built and all that. I mean, not a party that will just focus on let's do whatever to get elections done and then we are there.
I see.
I mean, come on, the history is there for you to look at. I mean, just take the fourth Republican era, alone, and look at the contribution of the MPP alone within that in a short time. And compare to the NDC, which Kwame Zulu allude to, actually.
I see.
I mean, in terms of development, in terms of human capital development, in terms of indeed ensuring that amenities are put in place. Come on, they come nowhere near.
Kwame is surprised,
How is he surprised? I mean, he knows. These are facts. These are facts.
Even as surprised as the viewers.
These are facts. These are facts. I mean,
the viewers will be very surprised.
We can compare and contrast records.
These are quite strange.
I said we can compare and contrast records. He knows. He knows that.
Very bizarre. Very bizarre.
Kwame, he says you have done nothing.
Oh, how did he say so?
Comparably, compared to them.
Compared to us, of course, they come nowhere near.
I think, in as much as I am in the position to say this, at least the many and myriad of developmental projects we have brought to the Ghanaian people, the Ghanaian is in a better position to judge if the MPP government under Mr. Akufo-Addo and Bawumia are indeed delivering on their promises, and if they have not brought untold hardships onto the Ghanaian. So these are issues of public knowledge and public record. It is not about sitting on a platform to tout non-existent impact that you have not made over the past 5 years. So we'll delve into the issues. Nonetheless, it is very obvious, it is patent that this MPP government has not been able to live up to expectation. Okay,
well, let's hear what your thoughts are. They would always say we have done better than this one and all of that. I see something on the
last time you checked, how many factories do you have so far now? I don't know. You know.
How many did you promise you build?
No, I'm only.
So how many did you promise you build?
I am addressing the host. I just asked a simple question. The last time you checked, how many factories do you have?
You don't even meet your own targets.
At various stages of completion.
How many factories do we? No, working in completion and working.
You tell me.
Huh? You never checked?
No.
You never checked?
No.
Really?
You tell me.
You would have to.
You tell me.
Over 100.
Over 100?
Over 100 in operational.
Okay.
That is industrialization drive.
Okay.
Tell me, the last time you checked, under them, a single factory.
Okay.
Apart from the one...
Are they fresh factories?
Oh,
or refurbished factories?
You see, we are talking about industrialization. Okay. And we are actually walking the talk. When we said in our manifesto that we're going to partner with the private sector to ensure that the economy of Ghana is industrialized, is actually giving a boost. Today, people are working in companies that have been set up, or factories that have been set up. Look, the last time, Kwame Zu's deputy national organizer, my good friend Chief Bani, went to his own hometown and stood on a bare land, gave us pictures, and said, look, the promise of the MPP is nothing to write home about. Today, the same person went back and said, wow, I have seen a well-built factory employing people in my own district. That is the legacy we're talking about, that Nanado is going to leave.
Yesterday,
but it's just a simple
yesterday you added one at Bonfete.
You added one yesterday?
I read that it's going to employ 186
there was one
people.
In Brekum, eh?
Slow down.
Is it the tomato one?
Well, yeah, the tomato. Good, 186 people and for direct jobs and 3,000 indirect jobs.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
So now
delivering on our promises.
So now the question comes that in the manifesto, you also put out a chart. Yeah. You remember the Ghana map showing all the districts in Ghana and where we could set up the factories.
Absolutely.
You said you were going to do that in 4 years. Yeah. You have had more than 4 years. Why don't we have it?
So far, we've had 4 years, 8 months, and counting. Still going on. Indeed, if we said we're going to build all factories or we're going to assist private sector to put up factories in all districts, and we couldn't do all, today we have over 254 districts or so. I stand to be corrected. And over 100, I mean, I want to get the right number for you. Factories are already in place. I tell you, if you're going to score us, that is beyond, that is almost 50% of what we have done. Okay. And I tell you, for a government and a party to promise industrialization drive by building factories and ensuring that people are employed, just like you have rightly mentioned, to come and within 4 years, over 100 factories are in place. Trust me, it is phenomenal.
Kwame,
it's huge.
The industrialization drive, are you feeling it?
Johnny, first of all, I think Kamal needs to commend President Mahama for providing water, $16 million water for the tomato factory that the MPP has built for the people of Brekum. Okay. In fact, somebody laid the foundation before they even conceived the thought of making available a tomato factory for the people of Brekum. But you see, we have not made a promise to provide one district with a factory, or each district with a factory in this country. It is their promise. It is surprising that they are inviting us against their own, marking scheme. You promised the good people of this country and captured it in your manifesto that when elected, all the over 260 municipal, metropolitan, and district assemblies will have a factory each. If at the end of your first term, and even beyond your first term, you are now moving around commissioning one out of about 100 of many of these factories that are not even fresh factories. Most of them are existing factories. I can recall Casapreco, Joaben Oil Mills, that has been there since 1957. They only injected about $100,000 into Joaben Oil Mills, and all of a sudden it's been enlisted as under 1D1F. So how many of those factories are built from the scratch? And how many of the factories are existing factories for which they have injected capital of between $100,000 and $200,000 and has enlisted them as 1D1F? You see, you cannot deceive the people with a promise and go ahead and create about 3 or 4 factories, go and commission them. No, give us the breakdown.
Hold on.
I'm coming, hold on.
But
give us the breakdown.
But Kwame, this
latest
one that the president commissioned yesterday,
yes.
we're told is a wholly owned Ghanaian factory. And I've given you the statistics.
And how many more are wholly owned Ghanaian factories?
I mean, a lot more.
That were started from scratch.
A lot more.
I have given you instances where existing companies, factories, Casapreco has been there for so many years. MPP only did a little capital investment. They were enlisted as 1D1F. Joaben Oil Mills has been there for so many years. MPP only invested $100,000 and it's been enlisted as 1D1F. We never promised the good people of this country that we'll give each district a factory. Nonetheless, under our era, we have seen the most monumental capital investment in the history of our country. The Atuabo gas plant, close to $1 billion project that is raking in resources for them today to mobilize for their governance and all other things. We never abandoned the Commander Sugar Factory. We started this Commander Sugar Factory. They came and abandoned it. So we never made the promises of providing factories per district.
So you don't feel responsible to provide some?
No, that is not the point I'm making. I am giving you instances that though we have not promised that each district will have a factory, our records in the provision of factories and industrialization of this country is superior to theirs. We have provided so many factories. The share factory in Buipe was under our era. We provided it. So we have provided several factories. So you have given your own marking scheme. And if you have set your own questions and you have failed to meet your targets, then you turn around and clap for yourself that you are doing well. Out of the 100, I am daring him to give us a list of the existing companies that they have enrolled onto the 1D1
over 100
and injected. Oh no, please. And injected between $100,000 and $200,000 and choose to call them as 1D1F. It's ridiculous. I'm sure you have seen the ridiculous picture on social media of one, I think is a mill. It looks like a corn mill that has been branded as 1D1F. Is that what qualifies to be a factory? Is that the understanding of the operative word factory?
Couldn't that have come from political detractors?
No, they have not disputed the claim. It was all over the place.
Okay.
They could have issued a statement to say it is not under the 1D1F.
Okay. Thank you very much. First half gone. Yesterday the president was, at the commissioning. He was in the Bono region, Kamal.
Yeah.
There have been talks for the health minister to go. There have been also talks now by the NDC yesterday. Sami Jemfi put out a statement suggesting that the finance minister is also complicit and that he also must go. We then heard that the health minister is taking a 2-week break, and one of the tabloids says he's taking a thinking leave as the calls increase. The president, for the first time, if you like, broached about the subject matter, and he says that the health minister is being vilified. In fact, he spoke in P that health minister, as he say, Obia Papa and Asumno. He spoke in P. So, question is that, is this the strongest indication that the president will not crack the whip, or what?
Crack the whip?
Yes.
As in?
Well, the people of Ghana are asking him to let the minister go, or maybe the minister should resign. I mean, we've heard Cuomo, we've seen his UK counterpart, and then he says the health minister is being vilified. So is this the strongest indication that he's not ready to crack the whip on his appointees?
Well, thank you very much. we are certainly a country that is governed by laws. And any indication that points to a law being, flouted, clearly is an abhorrence. It's something that we all have to speak against. But the last time I checked, same laws that we go to enact, same laws that we have adopted for ourselves, as in the Constitution and all that, when exigencies of a time presents itself, those laws sometimes give even exceptions. That's what I know. Not too long ago, there was this word compassion in the public domain. People advocated that we ought to show that compassion as a people. We must come out to ensure that we do what shows that indeed we are going to protect public safety.
Where are you going?
I'm making a point. You get to know where I'm going. You see, the point I want to make is that, yes, procedurally, the argument of the health minister, being culpable is established of a wrongdoing. That procedurally, which of course other school of thoughts even hold a different view when they even refer to the Constitution and look at under Fundamental Human Rights Article 21 thereabout, and tells you at what point that emergency sets in, that the president can even impose restrictions, that public safety can't be considered and other actions will be taken. Some have made this argument in other school of thoughts. But clearly, subjectively what we have at hand, if the procedural, wrong has been committed, we juxtapose same to what warranted the wrong, even though it is not proper in the eyes of the law. What warranted it? What caused it? What situation did we find ourselves in? We all know, and we continue to say this each and every day, that COVID came to ravage the entire world. As we speak today, active cases in this country is about almost 7,000. This morning before I left, I checked it, 6,922.
That's right.
Active cases this morning. That tells you that we are still not in normal times. My good brother sits here and your mask is on. Same applied to Kwamezu and my good self. And people who are out there watching us. It tells us that we are doing everything to ensure that our safety is guaranteed. I am not saying that, yes, payments that were made without recourse to the law was right. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that should we also look at the man in position, situation he finds himself or he found himself, what actually pushed for us to get there? Were we in a mood that would say that, look, we needed to ensure public safety? And of course, is there a law that also allows that when there's this argument of public safety put in place, an emergency declared by the president and restrictions imposed by the president, which law has been established as in the form of EI, can he or could he have acted in that manner? These arguments come up.
Where is the principle that you are holding other people's feet to the fire for breaching laid down procedure? And then in another breath, you are asking for compassion when you had the opportunity to even write back and forth the Russian embassy, write to the middleman and all of that. In all of that, where is the principle that you couldn't find one single day to do what is appropriate, given the experience and the exigencies of the time? Where is the principle?
If I may repeat myself, you have made an argument of yesterday some people being punished for...
No, I'm saying today, even today.
Let's say, even now, or some other people are being punished for, as it were, maybe flouting a particular law.
Right.
Why not the health minister? Yes, indeed, I have not said that he has not or they have not acted wrongly procedurally. When the Constitution says, per Article 181, Clause 5, come when there's an international agreement to be entered into, you could even come under certificate of emergency. You have to do that. When again, payment is supposed to be done there is a procedure which is supposed to be followed. And of course, if you told us earlier on that you didn't pay, and later came up with a report to say that you had paid, of course, a wrong has been established, as it were. But I ask this question again. Why do we, say that this wrong cannot be overlooked when we do know that we are in a situation that, of course, sometimes is difficult for us to, if you like, do things, as quick as possible or the way we want it. The point I'm making is that, listen, the minister indeed procedurally was wrong, but the minister also, in an attempt to save you and I think you are not answering my question. Has found himself
you're repeating
where
yourself, my brother.
You and I, or all of us,
my brother,
now are chastising
my brother, you are repeating yourself.
Yes.
I don't think that you are answering my question.
I am.
I am saying that between when the emergency came, when letters were written, because there were correspondences according to the committee report, there was a back and forth, not on the same day.
Yeah.
In between that period, when negotiations were going around, when you were trying to get letters of credit, in fact, at some point it says letters of credit on site.
Yeah.
That is when you see the thing, then you pay for it.
Yeah.
All of that happened, and we couldn't find one day. We have seen stuff done in Parliament one day, Cabinet one day. We couldn't find one day, and you are asking that we apply compassion here. Where is the principle? That's what I'm asking you. The principle that others' feet are being held to the fire for that same thing. And for another, we are asking for compassion. And the president says the man is being vilified. Is that the strongest indication that he will not crack the whip?
Did the president say he's being vilified?
Well, so AJ, if you have the video, please play it for me. So this was the president.
I've watched it already.
So play it. No, I want us all to watch it. Please play the video for me. This is the president yesterday.
In entertainment.
So that was the president. I'm not. Kwame is a general secretary.
Kwame is not an Asante either.
But he's a general secretary.
If you are general secretary, are you an Asante man?
The secretary.
Yeah, secretary or not. That doesn't make him an Asante man.
Okay.
Kwame is an Igbe man like you.
Okay.
You are not. You are Igan. Sorry, you are Igan. So Kwame cannot be the interpreter of what the president said. But of course, my little tree I also understand.
Okay.
I will make do with my own interpretation.
What is your understanding of what the president said? And does it give you the strongest indication that
the president jovially, if you watch the video, clearly indicated that indeed he is one of the people who, in his among his appointees, who has actually suffered. Okay, and today he's been, he used, I don't know, I'm sure it's quite metaphorical, says that he's been slapped around, as it were.
What does that mean in English?
Slapped around means he's vilified.
It doesn't.
Is that what it means? That's your understanding?
Okay.
This is linguistics.
What is your understanding of it? What is your understanding of it?
Being criticized.
Being slapped around.
Being criticized.
Okay.
Not vilified.
Okay.
Whatever. Well, if you want us to go into, adjectives, fine. But my point I want to make is that being criticized, being slapped around, of course, is apt. The point is
this the time for jokes?
Why? It's not.
You said the president said it jovially.
So the president should be shedding tears? Is that what you want him to do? He's shedding tears and say that, yes, the man is being, he should be shedding tears? Is that what he should be doing?
No, I'm asking you.
No, I'm asking you equally. You're asking whether this is the time for us to joke. The man indeed. So you're telling me of the 5 years, or of the close to 5 years the man has been at post from 2017 till now, no good is seen of him. No good has done to Ghanaians. Is that the point we're making? We're saying that the health minister for the 4-5 years has done no good to Ghanaians, and that the president cannot say that the man has done well, he's been there, who today has found himself being slapped around and laughed over it. And the point, the slapped around, I just told you, some of us, our people have come out to criticize.
Okay.
You have criticized the procedural manner in which he established maybe contracts that are not supposed to be entered to in that manner. It's been criticized. It's been slapped around. And I'm saying, I sat here to say that is a mistake, that is wrong. However, should we overlook it in terms of maybe the good intent that they had for this country?
So what's your verdict?
Because of that?
What's your verdict?
My verdict is that, yes, indeed, procedurally, you can establish the wrong. But in establishing the wrong, ask yourself, what intent was behind it?
Okay.
I have looked at the contract, and I thought that this contract, the health minister should be credited in this sense. Why? The clause that says that if you are unable to execute this contract, whatever money that has been paid to you should be returned to Mother Ghana. That clause alone, for me, I thought was a good move.
You think
and
that
today we are where we are.
Did the health minister have an option? Because the health minister told us that no monies had been paid. We are getting to know that monies were paid, courtesy the Norwegian journalist Marcus Tobias, who spoke with us by a conversation he had with Mr. Ken Oforiatta, that they had paid for 300,000 doses.
Yes.
Correct? The health minister told the committee under oath that we had not paid any money. In fact, we had Dr. Abedi in Parliament, who's the head of the Committee of Health, say no money had been paid.
And subsequently wrote to the committee, same committee again, indicating money had been paid for the
I'm saying that at the time when Ghanaians who had foreknowledge started asking questions, we were told that no money was paid. So it doesn't appear that the health minister had an option, really. And in fact, if you have not supplied the thing, why would you keep our money?
And I'm saying that subsequently, same minister wrote to the same committee indicating that money had been paid. That's
okay.
correct.
So let me bring in Kwame at this point. Kwame, so Kamal says, compassion, let it apply. You saw the video of the president. First of all, I'll ask you the question I asked Kamal. Does this give you the strongest indication that the president will not crack the whip as is being demanded of him by many Ghanaians?
Johnny, I am gravely offended by the posture of the president. It appears he does not appreciate the gravity of the misconduct of his health minister. Even worse in all this is to have commended the health minister and give him plaudits for being hardworking. In fact, literally, he is telling us that we do not have any reason whatsoever to demand of the health minister to resign, or better yet, for him to sack him. I have always maintained that I have not appointed the health minister. He did, and the buck stops with the president. I do not know the orders upon which the health minister operates. If an appointee, the conduct of an appointee, runs at variance with the principles of the appointor, it is only right that he terminates the appointment of the appointee. But for the president, on such a serious national issue, look at the caliber of people who are speaking to this subject and the demand for everybody for the health minister to resign or be sacked, only for the president to be jovial. Is this a platform for comedy? I am surprised that he's not gauging the temperature and the mood of the good people of this country. We are in an era where people are angry, and I think Ghanaians, we have not demonstrated our anger and outrage enough.
How else could it be done?
I think the indignation is not hefty. If it were, the president couldn't have had the moral high grounds to smile and laugh at such an important issue. Your minister has
Kamal
breached.
is asking, should he have been shedding tears?
Your minister has breached all the relevant financial laws in this country. Your minister chose to sidestep Article 1815. Your minister, without recourse to the AG's advice, decided to go ahead and request for payment to be effected. In fact, in an era where abundant evidence suggests that he should not be going alone, the finance minister should be joining him. Then you stand on a platform. What Ghanaians need from you now is to stand firm as the leader of the country and show direction, only to scorn the pain of the Ghanaian. The mockery is absurd, and I am surprised that the president of the Republic of Ghana, in the face of such a misconduct by your health minister, why do you want to embellish misconduct? And I am shocked to hear that he never said the health minister has been vilified. What other interpretation is there to what he said?
Criticized.
Criticized. Is he not worthy of criticisms, sacking and subsequent prosecution? He should be charitable that we are criticizing him. In any serious jurisdiction, by now, he should have been a subject of prosecution. But the notice I received...
Kamal is asking, for example, that don't you see any good in all the service that the man has given to the country? There's that one slip is enough to ask for his head. Don't you see any good?
The murderer or the murderer never did any good all his life. Atayi, before he was convicted, he never did any good all his life.
Tell us the good.
Is that what we are trying to posit here? That because you have ever done right, any wrong you do, because of the one right you might have done, you are allowed to go home. We cannot run a nation like that. It is absurd. And it is very shameful that this misconduct is coming from the president. Have you seen his poster? And the notice he has served is nothing short of a man who is not committed to relieving of this man from his position. I mean, he commended him literally that he has done so well for the health sector, such that he believed what is happening now is mere criticism or vilification, and for which matter, I am certain he will not do anything about the health minister. Even what is worrying is that we are not only calling for the sack of the health minister. We believe that Ken Ofori-Atta is as equally as guilty as the health minister. Why?
But when you say that he couldn't have gone alone, he sidestepped the finance minister, why are you dragging the finance minister into it?
No, I'm not saying he sidestepped him. I said he sidestepped Article 1815
that's right.
of the National Constitution.
And that he shouldn't have gone alone, he should have gone with the finance minister.
Let me demonstrate to you why the finance minister cannot be absolved from this issue.
Tell me.
Johnny, there were two agreements before the finance minister. In fact, the Minister for Health. The SL Global Agreement and the Al Maktoum Agreement. In one, the finance minister chose not to continue processes for payments to be effected. In the other, he decided to pay. What are the varying conditions for which he chose to pay in one instance, and the other he decided not to pay? I crave your indulgence to read a portion of the ad hoc committee's report for the appreciation of the issues by our viewers. Johnny, the only reason for which the finance minister chose not to pay in the SL Global case is this, and I read.
Which is?
The Ministry of Finance was in the process of requesting for the term sheet and Public Procurement Authority approval when it had notification that the contract had been revised. The Ministry of Finance received an amended contract without the relevant approval documents, and therefore no further action had been taken. Johnny, pay close attention. Because the relevant accompanying documents had not been attached to the request for payment to be effected, he chose or declined the processes for payment to be effected in respect of the SL Global Agreement. But when you come to the Al Maktoum Agreement, all the relevant accompanying documents were not added to the request for payment. Nonetheless, he proceeded to write letter on the 25th of March to the Controller and Accountant General to effect payment, who subsequently also wrote to the Bank of Ghana to effect payment. And in all these issues, all the correspondences, the health minister was copied. So he was aware that payments were effected.
You mean the finance minister?
No, the health minister.
The health minister.
He was aware that payments were effected before he appeared before the Parliamentary Ad hoc Committee.
Right.
So he lied under oath. And the president is telling us today that all this do not matter. He's patting him on the shoulders that you have done well. Plaudits for breaching all procurement laws. So I am surprised and scandalized that the chief executive of the country, Mr. Akufo-Addo, do not see enough reason to be angry by the misconduct of his minister.
What else is there? What else is there to do after your calls and the rage of Ghanaians? What else is there if the president does not act?
We need to act responsibly. And there should be consistency in governance. We have seen instances in times past. Charlotte Osei. On what grounds did the president instigated the processes? Or he said it was simply a conveyor belt. Sent the petition for the alleged procurement breaches to be investigated and subsequently relieved of a position. It was in respect of alleged breach of procurement processes.
Which was established.
But this is established. The PPA has written to the ad hoc committee that they have not authorized or approved any such deal. They never did. It is after the contract had been entered that he wrote to the PPA seeking ratification of same. And they said they are now investigating the entire issue, and after which they will know what to do. So if this is not a misconduct and does not constitute a basis for a sack by the president, I do not know what else would ever be the reason for the president to sack or relieve off the minister for health. And you see, what is even more worrying is that when the finance minister wrote that letter on the 25th of March to the Controller and Accountant General's Department, the Controller and Accountant General's Department, or the Controller Accountant General, did also not request for the accompanying documentations that would have given proper effect.
We are not in normal times.
Proper effect.
We were not in normal times.
He is a minister and he's an MP. He has been an MP for so many years. He was a chairman of the Public Accounts Committee. He knows the processes. When we are not in normal times, what do? You go to Parliament and a certificate of agency. And that would have been done for you simply. It is not as complicated as we attempt to make it appear.
Okay.
Now, the impression I have gotten from all this matter is simple. The president, in ensuing this, is likely to clear him. We have seen it severally. It's not once, it's not twice. It's likely to clear him. And subsequently, will clear the finance minister and request of them to go ahead and work, which means he does not care a hoot about the pain of Ghanaians and the many respectable people who are calling upon him to dismiss the minister and prosecute him. If he's not willing to even dismiss him, how much less prosecution? This is a breach of our laws. We must be seeing some prosecutions. It is shameful, very despicable.
Johnny,
very despicable.
Johnny, I will repeat myself, and I'm saying simply that procedurally, the laws of Ghana, be it enacted by Parliament or the mother law of this country, okay, that the minister needed to avail his mind to before going into the contract, indeed, is in question. That is what they call misconduct, and that is what they say is wrong. And I agree, and I also say yes. Procedurally, if you do not follow a particular law, one has nothing to say than to say that, look, that is quite on a downside. However, Johnny, a committee was set up by Parliament to investigate this matter, and I'm right. Having done with their job, a report was submitted to Parliament by the same committee. I have not seen anywhere in that report that the minister is recommended by the committee to have been charged for, criminal acts. No. There's nowhere. I have not also seen anywhere.
Was that part
no,
of
I'm only asking.
reference? Wait.
I'm only saying. I'm only saying that the committee has not indicated that there has been a criminal act by the the health minister. The committee also did not recommend any censorship against or censure against, if you like, the said minister. You see the point I want to make?
Can I put a question?
So he's exonerated.
Yes.
Hold on for me, Kwame.
Yes,
did you see the terms of reference for the Afenyo-Makin committee? Did you see it? Have you seen it?
Maybe you tell me.
If the terms of reference for setting up the committee gives them a scope within which to work, they cannot be slapping a crime on people, just like when Martin Amidu did the corruption risk assessment.
It is not a prosecutorial.
It is not. So when you're asking me that, please allow me. So when you say that, there was nowhere in it that the committee recommended that the man should be slapped with a criminal charge, it is neither here nor there. The terms of reference was very clear. Now, again, somebody would say it goes without saying that if all of these had been established, this is the Attorney General's cue, is it not? Like in other instances that have happened, this is the Attorney General's cue. So when the president says the man is being slapped by the people and they laugh over it, I've asked the question which you have not answered. I'm saying, is this the strongest indication yet that the president will not crack the whip? What's your answer?
Johnny, obviously, I am not going to jump the gun. I am not going to say what the president is going to be doing for us in the near future, and I'm not going to say what Ajimameni himself is going to do in the near future. We have all agreed, myself and Kwame has agreed, and many who are out there have spoken against the procedure and said, look, that conduct was not a good one. We've all agreed, and this is not in question. You see, unlike yesterday, when you give out contracts, and the next moment, you tell me, look, the money I've even paid for the bars painting was too much. Come and refund 19 million Ghana cedis to us, or how much it was.
Somebody was decent to resign.
Why? I am saying
somebody was decent.
Under you, the chief of staff gave
somebody
a contract,
was decent.
and then after giving a
somebody
contract,
had the moral compass to resign.
Thank you.
The money.
Somebody was decent.
Thank you.
And had the moral compass to resign.
Thank you very much.
You have a president who's commending.
We are not there.
We have spent a larger
Mr.
chunk.
Akufo-Addo is disrespecting Ghanaians. And he should be told in the face.
We have spent a larger chunk
he's
of
disrespecting
this.
Ghanaians. He's disrespecting
on
Ghanaians.
this. Thank you.
You mourn and scorn.
Your microphones are off.
You scorn Ghanaians.
Please send your messages in and do the hashtag for us. Hashtag TV3 New Day. Thank you very much indeed. We have spent a lot of time on this one. Now, it takes me back to on to another subject matter, Kwame. MMDCs. 8 months on, we still don't have MMDCs. The president says consultations are ongoing and has been calling for support for the would-be appointees. Some, for example, Mr. Sesibe NP, who was the incumbent for the KMA, he says he's no longer interested. It was a fierce one, Sampine and all of that. I don't know why he withdrew. But how does it feel that for 8 years, a government handing over to itself does not have MMDCs?
It is surprising our president is no longer in a hurry. The man who assumed office and indicated to all of us that he was a man in a hurry has not seen the need to appoint lieutenants who work for him at the local governance level. 8 months into his operation, his second term. But to a large extent, I understand him. Johnny, there is literally nothing to run the assemblies with. In as much as I agree the assemblies are able to generate their own IGF, but in the wisdom of the framers of our laws, generally, there's a reason why we have statutory funds. That is the District Assembly Common Fund, the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, the Road Fund, the National Health Insurance Fund, and the many other funds. If you study these statutory funds carefully, they are seeking to serve key sectors of the economy. In fact, one is for roads, for infrastructure, for health, for Get Fund, for education, among others. So that in the future, if you have a president like President Akufo-Addo who chooses not to develop the country or to not to even undertake any serious developmental project, these institutions can continue to run and we can see development in key sectors of our national life. Now, you come into office in 2017, your finance minister goes to parliament. Now, well, we do not have enough in the kitty to undertake discretionary expenditure. So we are capping all these institutional funds at 25%. We want to divert this into government flagship policies. For all of us, or many of us who believed that perhaps they meant well, we said, okay, that is fine. Parliament approved, same for them. Only for us to discover that all this capping they have done, the money is not going into capital expenditure. All the money is going to consumption. You cannot borrow to consume. You cannot borrow to buy food to eat.
Has that not been our story all the time?
You borrow, no, under our era, Professor Mill did 5%, 5.1% of CAPEX, capital investment to GDP. John Mahama did 3.1% of CAPEX. Nana Addo Bawumia, they are doing 2.2% of CAPEX. These were the very critics of our lack of adequate investment in infrastructure. When you borrow to consume and you're not borrowing to invest in infrastructure, just as the US has just passed the infrastructure bill, $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill, and you are not borrowing to invest in key and critical sectors of the economy, you may not have the capacity to generate the requisite income to pay off your debt. Now, the District Assembly Common Fund is non-available. In fact, it is not there. So even if these MMDCs are appointed, and they are to go and serve the people at the local government level, what resources are they going to use to run assemblies?
They can.
Of course, I know about the
property
IGF.
rates.
I know about the IGF. I know about the
IGF. Right.
If the IGF was exclusively enough, there wouldn't have been any need for complementary District Assembly Common Fund to be created by the laws of this country. The point I'm making is that development is stagnating. Development is on a slow pace. We are on a treadmill, a lot of activity, no distance being covered. And even sad among all this is that I do not see any recovery in sight anytime soon. Reason being that you are a nation that is spending 91% of your tax revenue to pay interest and amortization. You are left with only 9% for compensations, discretionary expenditures, to meet statutory demands and among others. How can you build a country like this? We are now being told that borrowing is all of a sudden a good thing. You cannot embellish borrowing to look good under any circumstance whatsoever. Johnny, the only reason you borrow money is because you do not have enough to meet your financial obligations. So when you go borrowing money to meet your financial obligations, it is a failure.
What are we losing?
It is a failure.
By not having these MMDCs at post.
The local governance structure of the country, like I indicated from the beginning, is stagnating. While I was coming here, I was listening to the news, and I heard in a particular community, and I think somewhere in the eastern region, the community led by the chiefs and the people of the area and the assemblymen have chosen to ban activities of Okada operators. You know why that is happening? Because at the district assembly level, they seem not to have proper leadership. The district assembly, so-called, has not been properly constituted 8 months into his second term. So what are we actually looking for? You cannot see development being driven at the local governance level, simply because somebody has chosen no longer to be in a hurry. And because he knows we do not have enough or adequate resources to even finance these district assemblies if they are appointed. So we are heading to a ditch. And I wonder what can be done in the immediate and middle term to salvage the situation. Our debt,
There's a minister for local governance.
Please, what is your tenure?
The Honorable Dan Boche, my very good uncle as well. He's there. I mean, and
doing what?
We can always tell the kind of leadership that he brings to the table, but he needs the lieutenants to work with. And 8 months on,
I cry, oh beloved country. You know why?
No.
We are crying for money. We do not have cash to run the district assemblies. But it is surprising that compensations for the office of the government machinery has seen a 600% leap from 2020 to 2021. In fact, last year we spent 136 million on compensation for the office of the government machinery. This year alone, in the 2021 budget, do you know the allocation they have made to themselves? 823 million. Over 600 million addition to the office of the government machinery for compensations. And district assembly common funds are in IRS. What kind of governance structure is this?
Okay.
Are we in a banana republic?
May I come in?
Are we in a banana republic? Do we have leadership? What is the president doing? People queued to get you elected. Even if for nothing at all, look at the pain of the suffering masses. The harsh food prices are skyrocketing. We go to the same Malata market that Dr. Baumia was crying about, that Ghanaians could no longer afford. Prices of food is increasing on daily basis. Let them act responsibly.
Okay, thank you. So Kamal,
Yeah.
you promised, and by you I'm not saying you Kamal Dean, the NPP President Akufo-Addo promised before the 2016 election that once he gets into office, he will do everything in his power to ensure that we get to elect our MMDCEs, at least by 2018. He put Hajiya Halima Mahama there. She's now an ambassador somewhere. And 5 years on, we still are waiting to get MMDCs appointed. Why couldn't the president keep his promise?
Interesting. I think you have forgotten so soon the move the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo made in his first term on this election of DCs. You've forgotten? And how it suffered? Because the minority then vociferously and strongly came against it.
That,
oh, you forgot?
That
about the election
they
of
don't
DCs.
want it to be politicized.
Before the referendum that saw us to create the 6 more regions.
Right.
6 more regions.
The president wanted...
The matter of the DC's election came up.
The president
so
wanted
have you forgotten so
No,
soon?
I'm not forgetting.
I'm asking you. So if you're asking me...
I'm asking you...
If you're asking me why that promise has not been fulfilled, and I am telling you and pointing to you the people who indeed stood on that way.
So
anyway, but
see, let me... No. I think that you're misconstruing my question.
Yeah.
My question was specific.
The why?
The president, I'm saying, and the premise for the question is this. The president promised that when he is elected, we will elect our MMDCs ourselves.
Yeah.
he didn't say at the time that we were going to do NDC and MPP in the election of our MMDCs and check the
It
promise.
demands consensus
Boss,
building. It's
boss,
a process.
Boss, please check.
But he initiated it.
But can I finish my question?
check. Yeah.
So now, he didn't say we're going to have NDC MPP. When he brought the bill, okay, for the election of the MMDCs, the proposal for it, the proposal had that political twist to it, NDC MPP. The opposition said, no, we cannot take the NDC MPP thing down there again because that could affect us. We can't have that polarity. And then the president, if you remember, withdrew the bill. I am saying that the promise was one thing, the process was another, the withdrawal of the bill was another. Why is the president not able to keep that promise such that 8 months on, we are still waiting?
Johnny, back to your
Development is
question
stagnated,
again.
and we are waiting for appointments.
Johnny, I sat down quietly to listen to you reframe your question, and you have ended on the same note. Why is the president not keeping up to his promise
That's
of
right.
getting election done for MMDC?
That's right.
Is that not what you said?
That's right.
And I said, yes, indeed. As a party, we promised that in our manifesto. Then again said, yes, indeed, we had laid before Parliament documents, okay, pointing to say, then of course, the NDC in the minority stood up against it. When initially at committee levels, they agreed, only for Yeli Chere to get up and say, look, we deceived you. Listen to Ghanaians. Ghanaians should listen to NDC. We deceived you.
That's what?
That we had agreed to the election of MMDCs, but no, we are saying today that we do not agree to it. And it suffered a jolt. And that was the reason why election of MMDCs could not see the day of light. I mean, the light of day. So my point I want to make...
Without the politicization. I think that
I
think that you oversimplified
it. We have said election of MMDCs.
Boss.
And you are saying that you are making the argument of partisan election.
Was that not the case?
Oh, listen.
55-3. 55-3.
Why? In our manifesto, did we indicate that we're going to do election of MMDC or put a proposal or not? Did we or not? We did. And did we go to Parliament to put a proposal before Parliament that indeed this is the process we want to go? And for done by inference already. You see DCs, assemblymen who are contesting, who are supposed to be apolitical, having NDC colors and MPP colors. And by that, we said, okay, if we're putting together some of these proposals before Parliament, it is only by inference clear that indeed we have already made it partisan. Therefore, this is our proposal. Then the NDC at committee level agreed, and I'm saying agreed to this proposal, only for the whole House to sit on the floor of Parliament and the NDC will rise up to say, no, we do not support the election of MMDCs on partisanship. That is why this promise never saw the light of day. That is your question.
Is that the only option? Because if you look at the local...
Your question is answered. Is that correct?
No, I'm coming. If you look at the local government law, okay, and then you look at how it was framed, it was not framed to have political twist.
Great.
Am I correct? Now, if you make a promise and you are getting a snag from the other side that we won't allow you to politicize it,
you go back and
coming.
the strategy.
You won't have, couldn't the strategy have been changed, for example, because it's obvious that if you elect your MMDCs, they become more accountable to the people, not so?
Let me proceed. The subject matter on the table now is why don't we have MMDCs up to now, 8 months after election or 7 months after election?
No, that is what has triggered.
That is what has triggered this discussion.
Right.
Where you have now given a new twist to it, talking about election of MMDCs and why our promise has not seen the light of day.
Right.
My point is simple, and I'm repeating myself, that we promised that we're going to create regions. We promised that we're going to ensure that local governance is brought to the people, that they would elect their MMDCs. And of course, we initiated a move. Ghanaians will bear me witness. Ghanaians will bear another witness. And of course, we did ensure that Parliament and the right things were done to Parliament. Parliament says, no, we didn't get a consensus on that matter. That is why we don't have MMDCs. And I think that suffices. But however, not having DCs in place as we say today, has any law been broken? Has any law, take the Constitution, been broken? That the president has not appointed MMDCs now, therefore, there is a law that has been broken.
Then don't appoint them forever.
No! You have a duty to act. But of course, you don't have a time frame attached to Article 243. I have read Article 243 that mandates, or which mandates the president to appoint a DCs.
That's right.
Of course, indeed, establishment of the district assembly, it did have timelines, however. Appointment of MMDCs, I have not seen it, unless I stand
What is causing the delay for a government handing over to
the
itself?
The government of Nanado, indeed, is going to ensure that those appointments will be done. But before even the appointments, the chief of staff, had instructed certain MMDCs to act until the new ones are appointed.
I'm asking you what is causing the delay. Wait, I'm asking you what's causing the delay. Kamal Dean is handing over to Kamal Dean.
What is important?
And Kamal Dean.
What is important is that Nana Addo Akufo-Addo shall be appointing MMDCs, and of course, as mandated by the law, which he's going to do. And I just said that there is no law broken as we speak because MMDCs have not been appointed. No.
Okay.
That's the point I'm making.
Kwame raises,
the appointment will be done, and Kwame raises issues.
Yeah.
That there is no full complement of the district assemblies.
That's right.
Statutory funds have not gone to the through yet. Look, let me tell you. District Assembly Common Fund, under them, if he has forgotten, it took Bernard Mona to go to court to force them to pay this Assembly Common Fund.
You promised to do better.
I am saying it took Bernard Mona
but you promised to
go
do better.
To court. And
you promised to do better.
Why? This Assembly Common Fund, check the history of payments of this Assembly Common Fund. It has always been in arrears.
But you promised
if you tell
to do
me
better.
That last quarter was not paid or last 2 quarters were not paid, this Assembly Common Fund has always been in arrears. I am not saying it's correct.
But come on, I'm saying that
Bernard
you
Mona
promised,
under them to go and force them to pay this Assembly Common Fund.
It will be disappointing for me if you keep going back to what they did wrong.
Why the person say he's an alternative? Ghanaians should vote for him, and I'm reminding Ghanaians who he is.
But come on, you told us that what they were doing is not right, and that you will do better. If you now come and you are referring them of the wrong they did and just using that to justify what you're doing now.
I'm not justifying. I am only saying that
it creates a certain bad image. Don't you get it?
Has not broken any law for not appointing MMDCs. That's a point I've made first.
That's right.
And again, I am saying that if he talks about this Assembly Common Fund, it is not that when you put a DC in place, that ensures the payment of statutory funds. Of course, the law has already mandated us to pay, as a government, all statutory funds, as it were, and disburse them. If that has not been done, that's a different matter. But don't tell me because DCs are not in place, that is why statutory funds are not gone. It's not true.
What is causing the delay of the announcement of MMDCs?
Don't worry.
I'm saying for Kamal to be handing over to Kamal, and then there's a delay. What's causing it? You told us you have the men. You have the men.
Yes, I've not. Why? Or has the president told you he has not gotten people to appoint? He's not told you.
So
that.
let him appoint.
He's not told. He's going to appoint them.
When?
He's going to appoint them.
When?
Don't worry. He's going to appoint them. You announce it here.
I hear.
When the names come out.
I hear you. Come on. Thank you very much indeed. Kamal Dean Abdullahi is a National Deputy Communications Director of the NPP. Kamal, have you been appointed yet?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I'm still my Kamal, and I'm still working in my party strongly.
See.
Yeah.
Well, I wish that some of such young souls. Bernardo Koba, good morning to you as well. Kwame Zu is the General Secretary.
Regional Secretary.
Regional Secretary. Yes. I keep saying General Secretary.
You want him to assume the work?
No,
really, inshallah. You want to be a General Secretary?
I am an ambitious.
Oh, you want to be a General Secretary?
In the Ashanti region. So one of my mothers says that the NDC was in the minority and yet they are blamed for the president withdrawing the bill. And happy birthday